Long before the echoes of war faded, the land of the white earth still trembled from the shattering of heavens. The Glassy Sky Pagoda, its 28 canopies now folded into stillness, had revealed a power lost for 600,000 years, pulling gods and devils alike into chaos. In the midst of this upheaval, Qin Mu emerged, not as legend, but as an unstoppable force, his sword carving through the ancient god's pride and centuries of conquest. The white earth ancient god, whose strength had grown boundless over eons, now sat shattered, half a mind left and a godly body undone. And yet, in the quiet aftermath, a tension lingers, for the North calls him. The capable earth ancient god waits, and the next trial promises horrors yet unseen. Tales of Hurting Gods, Chapter 11122, Chapter 11126, unveils this turning point where the skies have been broken and destiny sharpens its edge. Imagine a force so ancient, so immense, that the very earth trembles at its awakening. Today, we delve into a confrontation that reshapes the cosmic balance, a clash between mortal ingenuity and godlike supremacy, where one young cultivator stands before an ancient deity whose power has spanned eons. In the heart of the white earth ancestral land, a being of unimaginable might stirs. The white earth ancient god, a four-armed colossus, awakens as a legendary artifact. The Glassy Sky Pagoda descends upon him. This isn't merely a weapon. It is a manifestation of the highest art of treasure forging, layered in heavens within heavens, capable of bending reality itself. For centuries, it lay dormant, a myth, yet now it surfaces at the precise moment to test both mortal courage and divine pride. What happens next is breathtaking. The pagoda detonates in a cascade of expanding heavens, tearing the ancestral land apart. Gods and devils are flung across its celestial layers, and the altar itself is sent soaring. Here we see the first lesson of this encounter. Raw power, without control, can destabilize even the oldest order. Qin Mu, calm and deliberate, rides the shifting heavens as though he alone commands the storm. He doesn't merely wield the pagoda, he communes with it, bending its layered heavens to his will, demonstrating that true cultivation isn't just strength, but insight and harmony with your tools and Tao. Now the white earth ancient god faces an unprecedented fear. His body, immense and expanding, is suddenly exposed at its most vulnerable. For millennia, he relied on the sheer scale of his corporeal form to dominate. But in this instant, surrounded by the 28 layers of heaven, he feels a hollowness within. A terrifying realization that size and raw power cannot compensate for precise skill and insight. Here lies a critical takeaway for any wuxi enthusiast. Cultivation is not merely about accumulation of power, but understanding its essence and its limitations. Qin Mu charges, swordlight blazing like the dawn tearing through a storm. This is not just an attack. It is a surgical strike against the very weakness the ancient god never thought could be exploited. The battle unfolds as a dance of Tao comprehension versus instinctual might. The ancient god unleashes his most refined mudras, each hand a pinnacle of his millions of years of study, a testament to what deliberate, disciplined cultivation can achieve. He is confident, yet as the sword passes through his defenses, we witness the devastating truth. Even supreme mastery has gaps, and mortality, even for gods, lies in the cracks of their understanding. The fight escalates with blinding speed. Qin Mu's sword dismembers what was once invincible. The ancient god's divine horn shatters, his skull fractures, and his godly essence disintegrates under the precise application of celestial technique and mortal cunning. Here, the narrative teaches us something deeper. In Xianxia, victory often favors the one who adapts, who understands the terrain of power, and who can strike at the unseen vulnerabilities of those who seem untouchable. The Glassy Sky Pagoda retracts. The heavens fold back into their canopies, yet the impression of this battle echoes. Chaos controlled, strength mastered, life and death reshaped. What is most striking beyond the carnage is the interplay of reputation and perception. The white earth ancient god had long feared the name of celestial venerable Mu, a figure thought lost for 600,000 years. Legends had painted him as a slayer of gods, a being whose mere presence could instill terror. Yet, Qin Mu is more than legend. He embodies the unpredictable fusion of mortal resilience, precise cultivation, and unwavering resolve. The ancient god's miscalculation, believing he could manipulate or coerce this mortal, reveals a fundamental principle of Xianxia storytelling. Ancient power may be immense, but it is not infallible. Youth, innovation, and adaptability can overturn millennia of dominance. As the dust settles, the consequences are clear. The White Earth ancient god lies shattered, half of his brain and his divine essence gone, while Qin Mu, though wounded, is alive. His mastery of the Overlord Body 3 elixir technique allowing him to heal and prepare for the next stage of his journey. The stage is set for the northward pilgrimage to meet the capable Earth ancient god, hinting at the continuous cycle of trials and cosmic reckonings that define his path. So, what can we take away from this legendary clash? In the world of cultivation, history and reputation are powerful, but they cannot substitute for strategy, insight, and adaptability. A masterful cultivator doesn't simply grow stronger. They read the Tao, discern weaknesses, and exploit them with precision. Qin Mu's triumph is not just in killing a god, but in showing that understanding, timing, and courage can challenge even the most ancient of powers. The question that lingers as the heavens settle: what challenges await our hero in the northern lands, and how will the echoes of this battle reverberate among gods and mortals alike? One thing is certain: true cultivation demands both the mind and the heart, and Qin Mu has just demonstrated mastery over both. Imagine witnessing a single strike so devastating that it shakes your very soul. This is the weight of true martial mastery, a moment where legend collides with reality. Yuchudu had just seen it. Qin Mu, in a blur of sword and knife, extinguishing the White Earth ancient god. For someone like Yuchudu, a disciple tempered under the legendary Emperor of Endless Clouds, Wei Suifeng, this was not just shocking, it was earth-shattering, the kind of scene that leaves a disciple questioning the limits of strength, skill, and even morality. At this moment, Yuchudu's blood boiled, not with fear, but with the intoxicating rush of righteous indignation. It's the rare kind of energy that makes a warrior crave battle, not for glory, but for the correction of wrongs, for the rebalancing of the cosmos. And it wasn't just his own spirit stirring. Qin Mu carried a marvel of energy so unique, so refined, that it was contagious. Yuchudu could feel it, an echo of a power that defied ordinary comprehension, but behind the awe was caution. Yuchudu, ever the strategist, couldn't ignore the danger. The White Earth ancient god's death could draw the scrutiny of higher powers. One sole interrogation, and their secret would be laid bare. Yet, Qin Mu's calm explanation cut through the fear. The god's soul had been scattered beyond repair. Only he could trace its demise. In that simple statement lay a profound truth about cultivation, power, and responsibility. Some abilities transcend the very mechanics of soul and spirit. This moment also sparked Yuchudu's ambition. He begged to learn, to grasp a fraction of this overwhelming strength. Qin Mu's response was both candid and humbling. Even with mastery over his teacher's abilities, Yuchudu's creativity lagged behind. It's a crucial lesson in cultivation. Raw power is insufficient without innovation, without the spark of personal insight. True mastery isn't just inherited, it's transformed, reimagined, expanded upon. Qin Mu then revealed the concept of the small celestial heavens technique, an intricate amalgamation of multiple emperor's throne techniques. Yuchudu's imagination soared. He dreamed of great celestial heavens, of integrating 18 techniques into one body of mastery, a path to becoming a celestial venerable, untouchable in the Jade Capital realm. But Qin Mu tempered the dream with reality. Each additional technique compounds the difficulty exponentially. Even he, at the pinnacle of current understanding, could merge only 14 or 15 techniques. The path to transcendence is narrow, perilous, and rare. This dialogue between teacher and student is more than mentorship. It's a window into the mechanics of Xianxia cultivation. Techniques are not mere moves. They are philosophies crystallized in energy, refined over lifetimes, the reform of eternal peace, the radical innovations in divine treasures, and the integration of builder trees into spirit embryos. All of these illustrate a crucial principle. Power is not static. The wise cultivate both depth and breadth, merging history, innovation, and personal insight to transcend limits. Those who cling solely to tradition, even legendary masters, risk being eclipsed. Eternal Peace's reforms, though interrupted by calamity, remain a testament to human ambition in the celestial arts. Builders like Shenghua, Lin Xuan, and others continued the microscopic forging of divine treasures, pushing cultivation beyond conventional limits. The lesson is clear. In a world where heavenly techniques and ancient powers collide, adaptation and innovation often define victor more than raw strength. As the journey continued, Yu Chudu and Qin Mu approached the ancestral land of the capable Earth ancient god. Here, the environment itself resisted intrusion, the Earth's evil aura so dense that ordinary eyes could not penetrate. But Qin Mu, his third eye open, could see through it all. This wasn't just a battlefield, it was a crucible, a place where history, power, and legacy converge. And in that confrontation, the lessons of creativity, diligence, and audacity would once again be tested. So we ask ourselves, as followers of this tale, what does it truly take to rise above the masters of the past? Is it raw talent, innovation, or sheer will? And more importantly, how far can one push the limits of a world where even gods must reckon with the ingenuity of mortals? Imagine stepping into a world where gods are not distant, benevolent overseers, but monstrous, capricious beings, ancient powers drunk on their own authority. One such being, the capable Earth ancient god, embodied this horror. A grotesque hybrid with a human face, tiger feet, a dog's body, 9 green tails, and a mouth full of jagged teeth. He reveled on his sacrificial altar, surrounded by celestial troops, wine in hand, taking delight in ritualized decadence. But beneath the surface, this spectacle was more than grotesque indulgence. It was a brutal reminder of how sacrificial gods feed off life itself, and the danger Qin Mu was about to confront. From outside the ancestral grounds, Qin Mu makes his move. With calm precision, he unleashes the Glassy Sky Pagoda, a treasure whose speed and destructive potential defy comprehension. This is no ordinary strike. It's a study in cultivation and strategy. The pagoda moves faster than sound, tearing through layers of divine defenses, obliterating the gods and devils guarding the North Black Prefecture without giving them a chance to react. The sheer audacity of this assault highlights Qin Mu's understanding of both tempo and power. He's not just strong, he's decisive, exploiting every weakness with surgical precision. When the pagoda reaches the sacrificial altar, the confrontation becomes almost theatrical. The capable Earth ancient god attempts to resist, grasping the jade pillar, yet he underestimates the depth of Qin Mu's sword cultivation. The unfolding of the 28 heavens, followed by the 33 heavens of sword light, isn't just spectacle, it's a philosophical statement. Each heaven represents an imprint of Qin Mu's mastery over the voids, a direct challenge to the ancient god's comprehension of his own great Tao. Despite the ancient god's immense power, his sacrificial-born nature leaves him vulnerable to someone wielding a purer understanding of the Tao. His corporeal body, once a fortress, is divided, transformed into vast heavens and landscapes, symbolizing not just defeat, but the irrelevance of power unaligned with true understanding. This is where the narrative transforms into commentary on morality and allegiance in the celestial hierarchy. Qin Mu's choice is deliberate. He refuses to ally with these ancient gods. They are creatures of duality, part celestial ally, part malevolent parasite, who exploit the system while seeking ultimate dominion. When the dragon Qilin questions the risk of offending Heaven, Duke, and Earth Count, Qin Mu's reply is chillingly rational. The ancient gods are irredeemable. He separates those born of the great Tao from those born of sacrificial worship, asserting that some entities are beyond redemption, no matter how politically convenient they might appear. This is an incisive moment, revealing Qin Mu's uncompromising worldview. Morality in the cultivation world isn't about survival, it's about integrity and the Tao itself. The fallout of this act ripples across the divine realms. News of the White Earth ancient god's death spreads like wildfire. Even the Deep Earth ancient god, enraged and mobilizing his forces, is no match for Qin Mu's tactics. When the Glassy Sky Pagoda strikes again, annihilating battle formations and returning as if untouched, it's a statement. Power without comprehension, without alignment to the Tao, is ultimately fragile. The scene where the Deep Earth ancient god's head is gone while his body remains frozen in place embodies the terror and surrealism of this universe. Discipline and understanding outweigh brute force. In essence, this chapter is more than a battle. It's a philosophical exploration of cultivation, loyalty, and justice. Qin Mu's approach blends precise martial execution with ethical clarity, exposing the moral rot of the sacrificial gods. Each strike, each technique, is a commentary on what true strength entails. Not merely raw power, but insight, decisiveness, and alignment with the Tao. So the question lingers as we leave this confrontation. How far can Qin Mu go against the ancient gods without tipping the balance of heaven itself? And in a world where even celestial overlords have their blind spots, is there anyone truly untouchable? Or does mastery of the Tao ultimately make one the inevitable arbiter of divine justice? Imagine a world where the very pillars of heaven tremble, not from ordinary strife, but from a force so overwhelming that even the mightiest ancient gods fall without warning. Today, we step into such a cataclysmic moment. The 9 prefectures are in chaos, and the echoes of death sweep across the lands like a merciless gale. Entire ancestral lines of the most powerful beings have been erased in a matter of days, leaving nothing but shattered souls and broken legacies. But let's pause here. Why is this happening? The ancient gods were no ordinary cultivators. Each one guarded a region, honed their Tao techniques for millennia, and commanded armies that could rival kingdoms. Yet they fell, one by one, as if fate itself had turned against them. And that's the first striking point. The deaths weren't the result of fair battle. They were assassinations, surgical and unstoppable. Whoever orchestrated this moved unseen, striking with precision before the others even knew a threat existed. Enter the 3-pillar heavens, guardians of Western heaven. Their response isn't panic, at least not outwardly. Instead, they convene, reading the grim news with grave expressions. Here we see the complex psychology of immortal rulers, awareness of their power, yet a chilling understanding of their own fragility. Even beings who have defied time and celestial law recognize a threat beyond conventional strength. The revelations they share are staggering. The force responsible is no mere cultivator. It is Dragon Mountain Sanren, a figure whose reputation is legendary, whose return spells devastation. Thousands of years ago, he wielded the Glassy Sky Pagoda, a treasure said to rival heaven itself, to decimate the celestial river navy and subjugate the mightiest armies of the celestial venerables. The consequences of his past victories linger even now. Entire military powers shattered, celestial authority undermined, and a terror that lasts 600,000 years. This moment in the narrative serves multiple layers of storytelling. On the surface, it's a chase, a threat to survival, but deeper, it's a meditation on the limits of power. Cultivation, no matter how exalted, has ceilings when confronted with legendary treasures and supreme mastery. The Pillar God's deliberation, whether to flee or face inevitable death, reveals the stark calculus immortals must make. Survival often requires abandoning pride, heritage, even their ancestral lands. As they flee toward White Deity's palace in Western Heaven, the story amplifies the stakes. These aren't reckless wanderers. They are strategists, yet strategy alone may not suffice. Their journey showcases the interconnectedness of the celestial realms. Spirit energy, mutual shift bridges, ancient palaces, and the shifting balance of troops all serve as both sanctuary and potential trap. Even in flight, they remain vigilant, aware that Dragon Mountain Sanren's shadow could strike anywhere. Then comes the striking narrative. What appears as a moment of reprieve is shattered in an instant. The gods' descent into a mortal city, intended for sustenance, becomes a display of terrifying power. The first pillar, ancient god, driven by primal hunger, moves to consume the innocent, only to be stopped mid-act by a flash of divine sword intent. A broken sword pierces through him, signaling that Sanren's presence, or at least his allies, are already on the move. The sudden arrival of a colossal pillar weapon disrupts the city itself, underlining a central theme. No sanctuary is safe, and mortal or immortal, all are vulnerable to the right force. What we see here isn't just battle, it's a lesson in power dynamics and narrative tension. Dragon Mountain Sanren is the embodiment of absolute authority and strategy. He doesn't merely fight. He manipulates, isolates, and annihilates selectively, leaving both shock and awe in his wake. The ancient gods, despite centuries of cultivation, are forced into reactive survival, showing that experience and technique alone cannot counter a supreme treasure combined with a master's ingenuity. Looking ahead, this chapter sets a chilling tone for what's to come. The death of the nine prefecture ancient gods isn't just a plot device. It's a statement that in this world, the past can return with devastating consequences, and legends once thought dormant can reshape the entire celestial order. For the audience, it begs the question, can even the most immortal of beings withstand the resurgence of Dragon Mountain Sanren? Or is this the beginning of a new era, where survival requires cunning, sacrifice, and perhaps alliances that transcend centuries? As we leave this chapter behind, remember the lesson woven through the chaos. In a world of swords and divine treasures, power is not merely measured by cultivation or armies, but by vision, timing, and the audacity to wield forces that defy heaven itself. Dragon Mountain. Sanren has reminded every living being in the nine prefectures and beyond that legends never truly die. They wait. Imagine standing at the edge of a cosmic battlefield, where even the faintest misstep could erase centuries of effort. That is where our story begins. Qin Mu, accompanied by his loyal dragon Qilin, confronts forces that are no ordinary foes, but ancient gods whose presence alone could topple empires. And yet in this moment, even these timeless beings hesitate. Why? Because the name Dragon Mountain Sanren carries weight beyond imagination. Here's where it gets fascinating. The dragon Qilin, normally silent and enigmatic, reveals its true form. In human guise, it had hidden its tail, but now as its draconic essence blooms, it flicks its tail with playful confidence. This is no mere display. It signals a mastery of identity, a cultivation so refined that recognition by others becomes a weapon in itself. Even the ancient gods, figures of terrifying power, are frozen by the realization of who stands before them. Their fear isn't for themselves, but for the reckoning they sense is imminent. Now, let's talk strategy. The second pillar ancient god, desperate and calculating, recognizes the mortals around Qin Mu as seemingly weak disciples. But the Glassy Sky Pagoda, world's most revered treasure, has its own will. When Qin Mu bows to it, he channels its incomprehensible power, turning the pagoda's treasures into instruments of annihilation. This isn't just brute force. It's the perfect synthesis of cultivation, command over divine treasures, and precise timing. The second pillar, ancient god, vanishes in an explosion of light and Tao, leaving nothing behind. It's a stark reminder that in wuxia, the gap between mortal and immortal isn't just skill, it's understanding the universe itself. But the story isn't merely about death and power. The third pillar, ancient god, is forced into a similar fate, and Qin Mu's consciousness ascends, probing the mysterious ancient god egg. Here we delve into true Xianxia philosophy. The egg is a crucible of potential, capable of manifesting entire worlds, transforming into beings, relics, even loved ones from the past. Qin Mu witnesses visions of Lang Wo, Baikar, and Ling Yuxiu, three women who embody his Tao heart's vulnerabilities, desires, and regrets. Each represents a different facet of his inner world. Love deferred by destiny, duty heavier than life, and playful innocence lost to the flow of time. This is where commentary deepens. The ancient god egg is more than a treasure. It is a mirror, reflecting the cultivator's inner strengths and weaknesses. It tempts, tests, and illuminates. Qin Mu's ability to resist, to shatter his own consciousness before being trapped, speaks to his discipline and emotional mastery. In Xianxia terms, cultivating isn't just increasing power, it's conquering desire, mastering perception, and surviving temptation. Finally, consider the stakes. These ancient god eggs are the closest humanity gets to raw creation. They can become any form, any weapon, any ally, or enemy. That Qin Mu emerges unscathed, with enemies obliterated, underscores not just his tactical brilliance, but the subtle artistry of cultivation strategy, understanding the terrain of both the heavens and the heart. And as he opens his eyes to the devastation wrought upon the third pillar ancient god, the story leaves us with a question. What happens when one can wield a universe, yet must still contend with the fragility of the human heart? In the end, this chapter is a meditation on power, temptation, and self-mastery. It's a reminder that even in a world of gods and treasures, the true battlefield may be the mind, the heart, and the Tao within.